Welcome to today's People Strategy Forum. Today, we're thrilled to host Matthew Mitchell, a trailblazer in leadership whose strategies have transcended the sports arena to redefine leadership in business. So, as a former head coach and a great career at the University of Kentucky, Matthew became equivalent with just the thought of around what is success like and what is success like on the court and then also in leadership overall. So he's going to be sharing some of those leadership victories with us and those principles around honesty, hard work, and discipline. So now Matthew is a CEO of the Winning Tools, and he translates grit of athletic competition. if I can speak correctly, he transforms that grit of athletic competition into powerful leadership strategies. And so he's got a new book that's coming out. We're going to be talking about that, but the foundation starts with the Winning Tools itself, and we'll be talking about his new book. So today he's going to be sharing insights on how to prepare in those elements when we have change. And we've in the United States today, we've had significant change. We've had a new change in leadership, a new president, and so the environment is different. So we need to understand, how do we prepare and get ready to win in this new environment? So join us as we dive into this dynamic conversation with Matthew Mitchell. All right. And so Matthew, I know that your new book is Ready to Win, a sequel to Winning Tools. But as we kind of dive into this whole topic, can you kind of can we back up a little bit and just take us through what how did you become a coach in the first place, and helping young athletes become successful and then evolve to leadership overall?
Well, thanks so much, Sam, for having me here today. I'm very excited to be with you, and I will start my story with athletics was very important to me growing up. I grew up in rural Mississippi, pre-internet age and pre-cable TV age, and what we did to have fun was get out in the yard and play whatever sport was in season, and had a good athletic career in high school and was headed to college to play, and had an unexpected event in life. And my girlfriend, who then became my wife, we had a baby on the way at 18 years old. And that my daughter Lacey is now 35 years old and has been such a blessing in my life, but it derailed my athletic career collegiately and sort of set me on a path of trying to find what success was, and I attached that to money. And so Lacey's mom and I gave it a go at marriage, got divorced, and I set out on this quest for finding happiness by making a bunch of money as a young person. And so I was hustling around and trying to do a bunch of things with the goal of just making money.
Yeah.
And I found myself in my mid-20s very frustrated, not achieving anything. And so one Friday night, I was with my high school basketball coach, who was also the head of the school where I attended in high school, and I was sharing my frustration with him one Friday night after a football game. I'd just been down on that field playing, a few years earlier. Now I'm picking up trash with him after the game. He was such a hard worker, such a great leader. And I was lamenting the fact of where I felt like I was rudderless and no direction. And he said, Matthew, I always thought you would make a good coach. He said, why don't you come and help me this season, assist me this season, and give coaching a try? And so I went back to my high school as an assistant basketball coach. And the moment I stepped onto the court, the very first practice, I was hooked. I was like, this is what I needed to do. And I give my parents a tremendous amount of credit as well, Sam, but because I was the youngest of four boys. And so my three older brothers were really succeeding in their careers. My My oldest brother was a dentist, and just having great success financially, and he now owns 3 dental clinics and has just had a great career. And they just told me, don't compare yourself to anyone. Don't don't measure your success with how much money you make. Just go do something where you feel excited every day when you wake up, and you feel productive, and you feel like you're serving people. And that's what I found in high school coaching. So I began a career as a high school coach, and I was just trying to find whatever I could, sources of knowledge, of wisdom to help me advance, because it's a lot different coaching than it is playing. And so on that quest for knowledge, I ended up, I coached football in high school. I coached boys and girls basketball. I drove the bus for the baseball team. I don't think the boys really listened to me a whole lot on the baseball team, but we had a lot of fun. But I was just, I had a thirst for knowledge of coaching, of trying to help people perform. And so that led me to working some camps during the summer to try to earn a little money, but also gain some knowledge. And I landed at the University of Tennessee for the great women's basketball coach, greatest coach maybe of all time, that I certainly think she is, the great Pat Summit at the University of Tennessee. And so I worked her summer camps, and from there she hired me as a graduate assistant. And then that opened up my pathway to a 21-year career in college athletics. And so, I worked through that process of trying to be a great basketball coach. And we had tremendous success. My last 13 years, I was the head women's basketball coach at the University of Kentucky. But what I found out was what my true passion is helping people elevate their performance by elevating their leadership. And I just fell in love with that. I fell in love with learning about leadership. Eventually, I fell in love with teaching leadership. And basketball, I became more of a leadership coach that coached the sport of basketball than I was a basketball coach trying to teach leadership. And so that led me to, after 25 years in the athletic arena, and speaking to numerous businesses along the way, just because they were fascinated with, the team dynamic and how we were having success. And I just thought, I have this calling for a new path. And so for the last 4 years, I've been in the corporate world, and I've been able to take all of those lessons that I learned on teamwork and performance, and now I'm able to teach that in the corporate world. And it's been so exciting, and it's been a lot of fun, and I'm learning something new every day, and I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
So that's as I just hear about your journey and what you've learned along the way. One thing I want to dig in a little bit is just your books themselves. I mean, here we have Winning Tools and Ready to Win, and you just spoke about how you had a pursuit for money early in your career. And of course, when winning in business is a little bit different than winning on the court. So what does it mean to win, Matthew?
Yeah, I think the definition for me, and that elusive definition for winning or success, and what I found, Sam, in my life, is that winning really starts with how I feel about myself on the inside. How do I feel about myself? And do I have fulfillment at a real substantive level, not a surface level?
Yeah.
And so I think it's I think when you find out what you're driven to do, then the way that you go about that, and the way that you navigate finding your purpose, activating your giftedness, and I believe every one of us has a unique set of gifts and how we deploy that into the world. And for me, success is helping other people, showing up to serve. And every time I do that, I've always found that I have enough financially, and so I think comparison is a real curse. When every moment that I spend comparing myself to other people. So one of the big mentors in my life, and I've been fortunate to develop a relationship with over the last 15 years or so, is John Maxwell, who is a huge force in the world of leadership and has written 100 books and has sold millions of copies. And when I compare myself where I am at this stage of my life and my career, and John's 20 some odd years older than I am, if I compare where I am now to where he is now, that slows me down, and that does not serve me in any way. But if I think about what I can do today to take the lessons that I've learned from John and to serve someone else and do that well, I find that that's where I get that intrinsic value of excellence, of living a life and pursuing excellence every day. That's my definition of success and my definition of winning. And so I think it's all based and anchored by the principles that I call the winning tools. And that was my first book. And so when I got my first opportunity to be a Division I head basketball coach, it was at Morehead State University, a much smaller school than the University of Kentucky. But I found myself there with an opportunity as a young coach to lead that program. What were we going to be about? And I had this question asked to me the other day about from a young person that I was mentoring. And they said, if you had to start over right now as a basketball coach, what would you do? What would be the first things that you would do? And this is what I did at Morehead State. I decided on what our principles were going to be. I decided on the principles that were going to drive us towards success, that were going to anchor us to success, that were going to help us handle the good times and help us move through the challenges. And we all have those going on in life. And so what I landed on, that I learned from my parents and from observing all the great leaders that I was able to work with before that time, were 3 core principles that I call the winning tools. And that's honesty, hard work, and discipline. And so that is what I feel like when I stay connected to those principles, then that can drive my process of every day trying to serve people well, every day spending time in thought and how can I bring some ideas to a person's life that may help them move forward. And I think it's the principles of honesty, hard work, discipline that have really helped me get in touch with who I want to be and get me in touch with that's the definition of how I'm going to navigate a life of excellence.
So let's dig into that a little bit. Now, I think that the very first one that you mentioned, honesty. So when you're getting ready to go compete and you have all your athletes out on the court, and how does the perception of honesty help you win in that environment? How do we dig into that?
Yeah. The baseline of performance, I believe, is rooted in honesty. And so honesty certainly is about telling the truth, saying true things, identifying and then identifying the truth and then making sure that you're living that. But what we really taught our athletes, and what I think is so helpful for us, all of us who are in a high performance atmosphere and who are trying to succeed and do a great job, being able to be honest with yourself is one of the most critical skills that I think can be developed. I know it can be developed because I've helped people develop that. I help numerous players, of being able to tell yourself the truth, because human nature can allow us to make excuses over and over and over. And those excuses just block us from all chances, and really prevent us from unlocking our potential. And so when we can be honest with ourselves, and this is what we teach in the winning tools now, is one of the keys to living an honest life is humility. And so humility is, I was raised in the South. I don't know if you can tell by my accent. I guess it's pretty neutral by this point in time, but the listeners and viewers can tell that I'm from the South. I'm from Mississippi. And so appropriateness, politeness, don't put yourself into the spotlight. All of those things are just ingrained in you. A family of deep faith. And so, Christianity can tell us, we need to be humble, and we need to, we need redemption, and all of those things are wonderful. And were wonderful for me growing up. But what they did for me later in life is humility became this thing of thinking less of myself. What we teach is that true humility is an accurate view of yourself, because when we are in performance and we need to perform, and we need to get a task done, or we need to close a deal, or we need to make a sale, or whatever it may be that's driving our performance in business, we need to have an accurate view of ourselves. What do we bring to the table? And we need to push that all in, and we need to show up, and we need to deliver our giftedness, our talent, whatever our part of the team's success, we need to present that. But we also accurately need to know very clearly what we need from others. And so I'm very good at many parts of our business and leading our business, and I'm good at that. But my team member who was helping me this morning get everything going here, Megan, she fills so many gaps for me that and does things well that I don't do well, and I need her. And so when I have an accurate view of myself, I have the humility. I'm humble enough to know where I can help, and I'm humble enough to know where I need help. That is honesty. That's honesty activated, and being able to tell myself the truth. Hey, no one else in the company can do this job. You must show up and do the job. This task that I have, I'm not good at this. I need to bring Megan in to help me. That's an accurate view. That's me being honest with myself, and that's telling myself the truth. I think that's one of the parts of how honesty can help you activate in times where you need to perform.
And I think that just leads right into the next concept that you're talking about, is preparation and hard work, right? Because you're honest with yourself. You know that you're not going to win unless you have the right team members that have the right skill set that can help you be successful. And so being real with yourself and understanding your limitations is what helps you. That preparation helps you be successful, right?
It does. And that's the new book. Winning Tools was really introducing this concept of having a toolbox and having the tools to move forward and navigate life in a deep and meaningful way, and using that honesty, hard work, and discipline. Ready to Win, just how I was showing how we teach honesty. One of the pillar points of hard work is preparation, and that's what Ready to Win is all about. And we believe that preparation will powerfully position someone, me, a team member, a client, whoever that may be, preparation will put us in that position in a powerful way where we can succeed and we can get the job done. And it is, we would tell our athletes this over and over, and I tell my clients today, file it away under life is not fair category that this next statement is true. I can't guarantee you a win if you prepare. I can't guarantee you success. I can't guarantee you that. But I can absolutely guarantee you that over time, if you are a person that lacks preparation, you will not succeed. And so we just have to get our mindset to a place, our heart and our mind connected to this thought of being a person of preparation will put us in position. And if we're in position to win over time, we will have sustained success. And that's really what I try to coach people toward, is not a one-off, not a good season, not a good quarter, not a good year, but do you have a great company? Do you have a great organization that can sustain success over a long period of time? And I think preparation is just one of the foundational pieces of sustained success.
So let's talk about preparation in today's environment. So we were just faced with in the U.S. with an election. We now have a new leader. The rules of the game have changed. Shar is sitting in a new location. She's in a house in Ohio, which is a new place for her. It's different. It's a different environment, and so she's getting used to that. When you have a team and you're going to play in a new court, in a new location, new competitors, new coach, new situation or environment, we have to adapt to that. So when we put this in a business context, how do leaders today prepare for this new environment that's facing them in 2025?
I think that it is a tremendous opportunity to talk about this now, because I think there's a real illusion in our life, and it's the illusion of control. We feel like there's so many things that we want to control that we either try real hard to control and then we're not successful, or we lose hope because we can't control an outcome. And one of the most valuable lessons I ever learned, and this is what athletics does a great job of teaching you this, is that there are things that we just have no control over. And so then what are we left with? We're left with, what can we actually devote our energy toward? What can we allocate our energy to that we can make a direct impact on? And so that gets you down to being able to focus on your attitude. That's one thing that if you are a mentally healthy person and you have control over, the way that you can adjust your mindset, you have control over your attitude. And if you are physically able, then you're in control of your effort. And so when we get down to those two things, and we get our mind off of these things that we can't control, there's so many people who woke up extremely happy in the U.S. today. There's so many people that woke up profoundly disappointed. And it's because of the person who's going to be in the office of the presidency of the United States. And what control do we have over that situation? I think a better allocation of my energy is respecting the United States of America, respecting the opportunities that I have to live in this country, thinking about my good fortune to be here where there's other places that I could be that aren't as full of opportunity, and we're not a perfect country by any means whatsoever. I don't know where there is that place on this earth that's perfect, but if I can focus on my gratitude for the opportunities that I do have, that helps my attitude, and that gets me to a spot where I now can devote energy to my effort toward building the best coaching company that I can build. I don't know if it's going to be the best or the greatest coaching company in the world, but I do have, I can make an impact over whether it's the best that I can create. And so that's where I think preparation, now I have some space to devote energy to preparing these things that I can move the needle on. And so I've got a good friend here in Lexington. Our kids are in the same grade. He's our congressman here in the 6th District of Kentucky, Andy Barr. And he's got a tough job, and I try to encourage him and thank him for serving. But we've talked before about, hey, why don't we try to get some people together, and let's try to build some consensus and some bipartisanship and some teamwork to move the country forward. And right now there doesn't seem like there's a lot of appetite for that. So do I sit here and fret about that I can't do that? No, I just offer that to Andy when I can, offer that to people when I can. If they are receptive for it, then I'll show up and try to teach them how to work together as a team. And teamwork is so much about giving up what you personally want for yourself for the greater good of the organization so it can go forward. But I'm not going to waste time or energy fretting and fuming about something that I don't have a lot of control over. And so I think that's hopefully helpful for people today, this day after the election, where there can be so much energy that's allocated toward things that you really have a real lack of control over. So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to talk about that a little bit more. I mean, I know that Shar and you were just talking about before the call about how it's had a rough week. Unexpected things happen and so forth, and it's been challenging. So, how do you deal with unexpected change in your environment?
I think I'm the queen of change. I think in the HR sense and being a business leader, I think as we were talking, Matthew, it really is a cultural matter, a cultural thing. And also the personalities and the competencies of your employees to be, have the competency and agility. You would definitely need to look at the culture of the organization. So Sumit likes to tease me about my story. So let me give you a quick story about this. So my partner, Bruce, is not a worrier. He doesn't worry about anything. I worry all the time. I fret about the future, what's going to happen, what can I do to prepare? And, it's not necessarily where you just tell employees, well, you need to adapt to change. This is a VUCA environment, volatility and uncertainty and all of that. And I think it's a real cultural aspect. I think that companies oftentimes try to put programs in place to help your employees be adaptable to change. As a person, individual in my own life that has been succumbed to so much change in where I live and where I'm going and my career, just telling me just be comfortable with change is not going to work, or telling me that you're good with change and you can sleep at night, but I need to change my mindset is not going to work. So in my view, I think it really needs to be a nice sit down conversation, that one-on-one conversation with your leader, and have that transparency from the top of the organization throughout, and explain that this is a ever-changing world, ever-changing organization, and also avoiding the conversation about politics is going to be important. I mean, we don't want to talk about politics, but I think that having those open conversations and supporting one another and maintaining that mental health aspect, because people that worry and are constantly stressed and have anxiety, it's not going to be moving through an organizational change with simplicity. So that's why I think talent management strategy, cultural strategy, having that conversation with your employees, having that trust, that authenticity, and the conversation about the vision, the goals of the organization from the manager to the employee, as well as up the organization, listening to your employees, hearing what their concerns are about their job and what's going on next is going to be extremely crucial in this very period of time right now with what's going on in our society. So it's very complex. I guess that's my view. So what do you think, I guess, Matthew, what do you think about these programs, these change management programs that really are not getting to the heart of talent management strategy and cultural strategy to really help your employees deal with change? Because it's not just a change agent program. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think that we need less training and more coaching. And let me explain. I think that a coach that is focused on being a transformational agent in the performer's life, in a player's life, or in an employee's life or a team member's life that is interested in transforming their experience for the better, as opposed to being a transactional person that's just trying to extract some value from you. Let's put it in athletic terms. If I just had a talented player and all that she mattered to me was, could she make a bucket? Could she get a defensive stop? Could she steal the ball? Could she, do some statistical function that helped me win, that padded my coaching record? Or if I'm a business owner and I am just looking at a person and I'm just trying to extract some value that leads to the bottom line, that's a transactional environment, transactional situation. I love the part that you're talking about, Char, with the leader sitting down and really getting to know what is going on with the performer, because the principles, this is what I always told my team, the principles are unchanging: honesty, hard work, discipline. The methods are modified constantly because we're all different individuals. And so one approach, one size fits all, does not make for the best team. You can motivate temporarily through fear, or I'm afraid I'm going to, not make my numbers, or I'm afraid that I'm not going to get playing time, or whatever that may be. Very temporary. What's long lasting and enduring is when the leader connects with that person and shows that person, it goes back to honesty, and allows the time for a conversation to take place to really identify what that person's feeling, what their value is, encouraging them to bring the fullness of their giftedness and value to the organization, having an encouraging spirit on where their fears may be, and coaching them through that. And so coaching as a transformational change agent, that requires relationship, that requires investment, that requires time. And, there's, I can't remember what I was doing, some study around, being a better parent. And, I think was useful for me in coaching. Telling someone to calm down, like calm down, everything's going to be okay. Right. That's proof that my wife and I learned this. We've been married 20 years. We learned that for the first 10 or 15, we just calm down. And that invariably never got anyone to calm down.
It the opposite is true. It makes the person escalate more when you just say calm down.
Exactly. And so, telling everybody that everything's going to be okay without knowing what the issues are, and that's what makes leadership incredibly complex. And that's why I just continue to go back and stay rooted in the principles. That's why I continue to go back. And so, am I going to show up for my people in an honest, authentic way? Am I going to give the effort? Am I going to give the effort? And that hard work, we teach this, doesn't mean hours sitting at a desk or hours being in an office. It's about production. It's about efficiency. But am I going to give the effort to get to know my people and serve them? And then am I going to have the discipline to stick with it, no matter whether the success comes my way or the difficulty comes my way? Am I going to stick into the fight, stick with my people, support them, help them? And so I can remember the greatest leadership challenges of my career when I just felt like I didn't have the answers. It was so great to be able to go back to those three things and just kind of work my way through a situation. And I think when you are rooted in those kinds of principles, it opens you up to be this kind of coach and leader and have the relationship that's required to really be transformational in someone's life.
Yeah. Well, if I can also make a comment on that, because being in charge of learning and development, as you talk about in talent management strategy and organizational effectiveness, you talk about a competency of a leader to be able to have that agility and be able to sit down with an employee and have that conversation and listen and maybe focus on the principles, as you say, but also have the emotional intelligence to be able to discuss the fear, the anxieties, the worries, the change. Because my experience has been maybe in a big health, and I always talk about my healthcare systems, but we had 100 leaders perhaps that were promoted through the ranks. They were the top nurse, or they were the top what have you, and the top performer that got promoted to be a leader, but did not necessarily have the coaching or the ability to have that relationship. So as a talent management strategist or an HR leader, you have to really evaluate your talent in your leadership space and be able to identify, do you have the talent in your leadership team to be able to have those conversations, to be able to have that authenticity, that type of thing. And it's not, like you say, it's not a tactical process. It's not like sitting a leader in front of a learning management system and say, take an emotional intelligence class or whatever it is. That's not going to fix the problem. Actually, Sumit, I love your viewpoint on this because you're the culture guy, right? So, Sumit, what is your view? How would you take a leadership team and help a leader become more, better in this space? What are your thoughts?
So that's an interesting question, Shar. I think drawing from the sports arena, a leader has to play two roles. One, like a football manager, the leader has to watch for different patterns that are emerging and make some real-time changes to help their people in adjusting to conditions. So it could be weather, it could be what the competitor is doing, it could be somebody's just having a bad day. So how do you cover up and how do you adjust according to that? The second thing is, after the game, you go back to the drawing board, fix some of the issues that you see are emerging as patterns across games. So is there a particular issue with an individual? Is it a place where the team is not really coming together? So are you not stringing the right kind of passes together? Is your quarterback not being protected enough by other players and not being able to do their role? So I think that's where managers can play an important role. And while a talented player would have complete visibility of their area and what they're doing, they may not be able to see the larger picture, and that's where that's what a leader needs to decode, and also stay ahead by, again, analyzing future games and saying, we're up against this team, they're really strong, this is how they play, and that's how we will need to readjust. At the same time, maintaining a collaborative working style where it's not just being a dictator and saying, this is what my feelings are, this is what you gotta go there and deliver. So what are your thoughts? Do you have any ideas on how we can make it better? That's how I see the role of a leader. And I mean, I did read some elements of the book as well, Matthew, so completely aligned with the principles. And um, I think that they can really help leaders in delivering winning teams, which may not win all the time, but which would be, like you were saying earlier, without that preparation, you definitely are not winning. With that preparation, the chances of you winning definitely become higher.
So Matthew, I guess let's just visualize this a little bit. I mean, and I'd love to understand how you're coaching in this environment. And one thing is, we all know in this in teams, whether it's on the court or in business, teams are accountable. They need to be accountable to one another. And then sometimes, I mean, we're going to have a person that shows up and something's off. They're not performing. We know there's something wrong. And you may observe one of your coaches that are working with you go out there and say, and scold that person and so forth. How would you advise that coach to do better, to really get to the root cause?
Well, I think for me, when you are encountering a difficult leadership situation, and this speaks back to personal preparation of who do I actually want to be as a leader. And if leadership was easy, then everyone would be at would rise to high levels. And it goes back to a little bit about what Shar was saying, is that so many times we find talented people who are highly competent in a certain area. And Sumit, I think you just alluded to this as well. That doesn't mean they can lead. That doesn't mean they have a full grasp. Sumit just said that they don't have the scope. So if we find ourselves in a leadership position, we have to strengthen 3 areas that I think are necessary when you're dealing with difficult people. Or I'll give you a real world, real live example. I've not retired totally from coaching basketball. I'm coaching middle school basketball now. And I was working with the 5th and 6th graders at our school yesterday, and it was our first practice of the year. And this 5th grader, she had never touched a basketball before. And so something that I now, after 30 years of being around the game and 40 years of playing it all my life, the thought of shooting a basketball is so simple. It's almost second nature to me, and I can teach it really well. And it brought me back to what I'm about to tell you. I had this kid that she could not, initially grasp this concept of shooting the basketball. And so when you're in these difficult situations, it's 3 Ps. You have to strengthen yourself on the front end and develop patience. And that maybe some people are just equipped with that naturally. I think for a lot of high achievers and high octane leaders, I think patience is elusive, and I think it's something that we have to practice, and I think it's something that we have to equip ourselves with. And so spending some time, so you have to have patience on the front end. Then that patience leads to persistence of, I'm going to hang in here. I'm going to keep teaching. I'm going to keep developing. I'm going to keep investing in this person. And persistence then gives way to perseverance. But because I'm just not going to, unless we get to the spot where it is just untenable, and those situations happen. They occur. But until I get to that spot, I'm going to show up and I'm going to stick with this, no matter what timeline I think it should happen on. But how do I get what I'm trying to teach out of my brain into action from this person? And so that's not going to make it any easier, but it's going to position us as a leader to that girl yesterday. I'm sure, felt my patience, and I just we just kept going, and my normal approach didn't work. And so what was so fun about it is that I found a new way to get the kid finally shooting the basketball, and it was nothing I'd ever tried before. So the patience allowed me and the persistence and the perseverance allowed me to unlock something. So I benefited from it as well. And so, man, giving up on someone or scolding someone or browbeating someone, that's about the easiest thing you can do. But now you're just using your leadership from a position of power, and that's not really accomplishing anything. But when we really show up in this transformational, where I'm really trying to serve this person well and trying to help them because it's going to help the team, then we open up ourselves to all sort of really neat and fun and sometimes unexpected outcomes. And that just happened to me yesterday.
Well, it's great to be speaking to a coach with such a broad set of skills that you can apply to young talent, such as you're motivating now, into the top leaders in industry. And I know that with the books that you've written here, The Winning Tool and the new one to be released, Ready to Win, who are these books designed for, and who should be, and what are the key things that we want our leaders to get from this toolbox that you've put together?
Yeah, I think the people that will connect most with this are leaders who have a desire to grow. So growth-minded leaders. These are not life hacks and shortcuts and get rich quick. Go make $1 million in 10 days. That's not what these books are designed for. This is for people. And certainly, where my business is driven is working with businesses, and so it's directed toward a business leader. But really, anyone that is interested in elevating their experience in life by being principle driven, anchored in principle, and then who are interested in developing a process driven leadership is what we talk about and what we really teach, if you had to get it down to one subject. And so people that want to grow and want to learn and understand, either if they're on the front end of their leadership journey that they're not where they want to be, or if they're in the middle of it like I am, and understanding that there's probably no destination. I just want to be in constant growth, and I just want to open myself up to learning. And I love to say this, Sam, is that there's nothing, I don't know that I've created anything original in any of this, either of the two books, but I have put things in there that we all need reminders for. And that's what that's the interesting part of life, is that intellectually, so many times we know the answers. If you gave us a test, we could, make an A on the test. But life is not academic. Life is living, breathing, dynamic, and there's ups and downs, and we just all can benefit from being reminded about these principles and being reminded about the benefits of the life experience being deep and rich. There's just some real benefits to that. So that's what the books, I hope, speak to. And that's why I wrote them, because I've been such the recipient of just incredible investment from the people who helped me develop and continue to help me develop. I just want to give that back in the best way possible. And I'm so gratified when someone comes up now and they read Winning Tools and said that it reminded them of where they can step into life and live it more fully. And so that's really what I'm trying to accomplish with my writing. And I've said this for many years. I've given thousands of talks, whether it be to my teams or when I coached in college. I was in demand for people locally, statewide, nationally. I would go to different conferences and events, and I would speak trying to help people. And I always told them, if nothing else, I always benefit from the time of reflection and thinking and preparing for what I needed to try to deliver that day. And so I think the writing really helps me stay in touch with my mission and my goal of getting out there and helping people. So I really have enjoyed writing these two books, and have got another one in the hopper. And but we'll stay focused on this next one that's coming out November 19th, and I'm excited to share Ready to Win with the world.
That's great. Thank you so much, Matthew. One thing I think that you're being a little bit overly modest. I mean, when you think about modern day world, there's not a whole lot of places on this planet that haven't been explored. There's been people all over the planet, but there's new places. There still are. But the one thing that is truly unique is everybody's journey on this planet. Right? You have your unique journey that has shaped how you use these tools, and that you're able to apply it to the youngest athletes, to the senior most executives that are out there, and their core principles that we need to remember. We need to understand the definitions around and honesty, hard work, discipline, and preparation for that new environment. Those are things that you're right. We need to be reminded at certain times. And that's what a coach is all about, right? As Sumit mentioned earlier, they can observe what's going on. They can give you pointers. They can redirect you. They can make you aware of things that you may be overlooking. And no matter if we're a young person that is starting out in our life and enjoying the sport, and then those that believe that they are honed and we have something to learn from everyone. So I really appreciate your time, Matthew, in these books and these important pieces that you're bringing awareness to leaders and the shaping of young minds. There's nothing more valuable in life than that. So thank you so much for your service there.
Oh goodness, I appreciate that, and it really is my pleasure to do, and I enjoy it, and gives me some purpose every day as I get up and try to help people. And it's really the part of kind of coming full circle in the basketball world of starting out as a junior high and high school coach, and then rising through the ranks and getting to, what most people in this country consider the pinnacle of the profession. But now being back out with the young kids, and it's a real joy, and it gets you in touch with why you did it in the first place. So it's pure joy for me.
Well, I know it's been quite a joy to have you on this call today. So thank you so much, Matthew, for your time. It's been so valuable to me, and I know all our listeners out there.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Shar. Thank you, Sumit. It's great being with you three today. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Well, take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on